Well, I left college because I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and some of you know too, but some of you don't. Or maybe you thought you knew but are now questioning that choice. What you choose to do next is what we call in the movies the character-defining moment. Now, in a 2-hour movie, you get a handful of character-defining moments, but in real life, you face them every day. And I was lucky that at 18, I knew what I exactly wanted to do, but I didn't know who I was. How could I, and how could any of us? Because for the first 25 years of our lives, we are trained to listen to voices that are not our own. Parents and professors fill our heads with wisdom and information, and then employers and mentors take their place and explain how this world really works. And usually these voices of authority make sense, but sometimes doubt starts to creep into our heads and into our hearts. And even when we think that's not quite how I see the world, it's kind of easier just to nod in agreement and go along. And for a while, I let that going along define my character. And I want to be clear that your intuition is different from your conscience. They work in tandem, but here's the distinction. Your conscience shouts, "Here's what you should do," while your intuition whispers, "Here's what you could do." Listen to that voice that tells you what you could do. Nothing will define your character more than that.
I'm terrible with these analogies, but I kind of like to make movies that leave you with an impression that doesn't go away in 24 hours.
That's okay, no problem. From the beginning and action.
In the case of the United States of America versus Rudolph Abel, as to the first
My early movies were all about you. My early movies were all soliciting you, making you my partners, thinking about you behind the camera, thinking what would turn you on, what would get you excited, what would make you laugh, what would make you scream. And you were my partners. My audience, I collaborated with you and you collaborated with me. I thought I'd share with you how it all started. Everything I'm about to tell you happened completely by accident. And I think it all started out when I was maybe 6 or 7 years old, and my father came over to me and said, "I'm going to take you to see the greatest show on earth." My father explained there were going to be lion tamers and circus acts, there were going to be clowns and trapeze artists. And I was absolutely delighted, and I looked forward to this for a week. It was very, very cold. It was wintertime around the holiday season, and we stood in a very long line. I remember against a solid red brick wall for what seemed like hours. I think we actually stood in line for about 2.5 hours. And I didn't quite understand. I was waiting to see the tent, and there was not a tent. There was a brick wall. We walked into some rather large doors, and we walked into a very kind of a dimly lit room. I remember the room had a lot of pink and purple lights. And I still didn't quite understand about the greatest show on earth. And I sat down in some seats, and they were all facing forward, not bleachers, but seats. It was a large red curtain. I'll never forget this. And the curtain opened, the lights went down, and a dimly lit image came on the screen. And it was flickering, and it was kind of grainy because we were sitting way in front. And suddenly I realized that my father had lied to me and had betrayed me and had taken me to a circus that wasn't a circus. It was a movie about a circus, and I had never seen a movie before. And I think the feeling of disappointment and regret and betrayal lasted only about 10 minutes, and then I became just one more victim of this tremendous drug called cinema. The thing I really want to emphasize is I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. When you have a dream, and the dream isn't something you dream and then it happens. The dream is something you never knew was going to come into your life. Dreams always come from behind you, not right between your eyes. It sneaks up on you. But when you have a dream, it doesn't often come at you screaming in your face, this is who you are, this is what you must be for the rest of your life. Sometimes a dream almost whispers. And I've always said to my kids, the hardest thing to listen to, your instincts, your human personal intuition, always whispers, it never shouts. Very hard to hear. So you have to, every day of your lives, be ready to hear what whispers in your ear. It very rarely shouts. And if you can listen to the whisper, and if it tickles your heart, and it's something you think you want to do for the rest of your life, then that is going to be what you do for the rest of your life, and we will benefit from everything you do. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.